Hello everybody, welcome to today's video. I hope you enjoy, so let's get started. These next clips I've taken while I'm out and about for work. They include some interesting light fixtures and whatever else I stumble across while I'm going through some interesting buildings. So enjoy some unique light fixtures. Don't have a 32 watt? Don't worry, just put a 22 watt on it. That's got to be good enough. You know, that's all you really need. I think I posted a picture of this one on Instagram many years ago. Four lamp T12 rapid start, but only 2 of the bulbs work. Some more rapid start. There we go. Some classic drum lights, you know, those are always decent. Of course they have, well, it appears to be filament LED bulbs in them. I like the old globes. Of course, you know we gotta stop at the Restore. This particular location has a decent selection of light bulbs still, which is awesome, and some nice vintage ones. I always enjoy seeing these older packages from Sylvania, as you can see here, and that really old nice Durotest package. Unfortunately, it was just a heat lamp. It would have been cool if it was one of those colored G40 globe bulbs. And we have some little reflector bulbs here. Again, would have been cool if they were colored or something. That would have been an instant buy for me. But surprisingly, I didn't actually pick anything up. I don't really have any use for any of them, and I already have an example of each of them in the collection, so I didn't really have a use for them. But this particular location has a whole bunch of 8-foot fluorescent troffer lights in the ceiling, kind of like the old Walmarts back in the day. But as you can see, they've been converted to like a T8 and some of them to LED. Now these they had as well. They look to be some sort of pulse start work lights instead of probe start, but I could be wrong. I always love this little tiny staircase. Like, look at how tiny these steps are. They are like tiny. Look at how steep the staircase is. These stairs are so small. You'd have to go down backwards. I'd feel like you'd fall if you went forwards. Really steep. It's time for giant, tiny stairs again. Giant, tiny stairs. It's like climbing a ladder with your giant, tiny stairs. LED converted. And these are slimline. There you go. At least it still works. It wasn't working the last time I was here. Here we have multiple stairs that come into one stair. It's another day, and we have some time again to work on the TrafficVision here. So obviously last time we gave it a bath for the first time. I want to give it a second one just to get all the little nooks and crannies and things like that. Maybe a little bit of acetone to get rid of the paint there or whatever it looks like is not original. And once we get it that way, well, like I said, I will give it one more little bath just to get the in-betweens and all that. And for the moment, we want to clean up this kind of main bracket assembly. It's neat how everything's in here. There's almost like 2 different ways you could have it connect to power. You could have it over here, depending on where you place this bracket, and then the screw kind of holds it in place from sliding out is what it looks like. So I'm going to see what parts of this can come off so we can clean it all appropriately. And we're going to do the same thing with these. Now, once it's all done, what are we going to put in this thing? Well, I do believe it was originally 150 watt high pressure sodium. So what I'm going to try to do is locate a 150 watt pulse start metal halide slash, I think S56 high pressure sodium ballast. It does both the I want to say it's S56. It has a slightly bigger arc tube, and I know some have commented about it in the main channel when we first unboxed all this stuff. So thinking that that should work, and I'm knowing that there's also electronic versions of that out there, it would be a nice light, you know, not heavy item to put inside of this, and we'd be able to use the actual European bulbs in here, so it'll be true to everything. So that is awesome. So that's the idea that I'm going to try to go towards. I'll try to source a ballast for this, and yeah, we'll go for that idea. But for the moment, I'm going to try taking this apart and seeing what we can do to clean it up appropriately. The little terminal connector and the main plastic assembly here all came out pretty easily. You just have to slide everything out and be a little aware of where it all sits. So now we're going to try to get this bracket off. With everything removed, hopefully in the next clip, you'll find this all cleaned up. So this is where we are currently. I originally took some of these big brushes and I got all of the corrosion off of it here. And then I came along with the Dremel and used a really tiny head to get into some nooks and crannies. But it's not totally perfect, and again, I'm not really going for perfect, but we need something to get into these little corners here and the little tiny nooks and crannies. Now, Dremel does make something small like that, but I don't have it on hand. At least I don't believe so. I'll take a look. But I will go and pick one up, and we'll continue on once we have that. So, since I have to wait until I go and get that, well, I mean, I could go do it right now if I really wanted to, but don't need to. We will look into cleaning up some of our other parts. It's yet again another day, and our housings here are now finally completely dry, which is awesome. They went through a second cleaning process and look even better, so I'm super happy with that. Now, our other items here are also all cleaned up. This was cleaned up with the main bracket over here, but we took apart what screws we could find to clean up our plastic parts here. They're nice and dry, so I'm also very happy with that. Everything cleaned up very nicely. I even got the little clip off, which is great. And this adapter cleaned up nicely as well. Now, the last thing I have to clean is this little bracket here. Totally forgot about it. But we got all of those items clean. Hopefully today we can get some enamel on the housings here, the outsides of them anyway, just to seal the fibers, the fibers in, since it's, well, when I think of words today, fiberglass, that is the word, yes. But yesterday, as we left off, I was using this little brush here to, there it goes, to clean the housing after using the bigger brush. And the outside parts look really good. It's not covered in as much of the corrosion anymore, and it's not going to be perfect, but I just wanted to get the flaking corrosion off, and that is what we've done. As you can see, I have obtained a smaller bit here. It's a little messed up now after using it, but it was a little pack of 2 of these things here. Some Dremel bits, and these are perfect. Pick these up at the McClendon's because they have everything, and well, it was a perfect purchase because it allowed me to get into little nooks and crannies, like there's still a little bit here, to clean that stuff up. So this has worked out really well. I used it a bit last night. I'm going to use it a little bit now just to finish up some little areas. And then I think we're all ready to start putting this thing back together. There's not much to do with the reflector here. It is pretty amazingly clean to begin with. And then again, we'll have to investigate what ballast we want to put inside. As I previously mentioned, I'd like to use the actual 150 watt high pressure sodium bulb that this would have used. So we'll need to obtain a 150 watt metal halide pulse start ballast to use with it, as far as I understand it. So I will hopefully source one of those. Well, first, before I do that, I have some 150 watt metal halide fixtures. We'll give it a go and see how the bulb even reacts with that. If it does work out well, we'll probably end up getting a magnetic ballast, because boy, the electronic ones are like $80 or more. And if you want to get a magnetically ballasted one, currently online, it's about $25. That's a big savings. So anyway, that is where we're currently sitting. I got some of the paint off of the back here. There was some gray paint on the bottom. Got that off and then cleaned it. Of course, we want that clean before we can put the clear coat on, because, you know, putting paint remover on isn't exactly good when you want to put paint back on it. But anyway, well, it's not paint, it's a clear coat. Either way, paint being said, you can kind of see with the paint removed what color the fixture originally must have had coated onto it. It's the same color as the fiberglass itself, so that's interesting to see. Put some pieces back onto the metal frame here. We got our terminal block back into place and everything is snapped back in. Got our mounting assembly put back together. And we got our receptacle plug here as well, back on the ballast mount. Now, thinking about the ballast mounting tray here, as I've stated already, I'd like to keep this 150 watt high pressure sodium like it originally was. And from my understanding, I can use a M102 metal halide pulse start ballast. Now they make, you know, magnetic ones, or you can get electronic. So I'm kind of leaning towards electronic just for the fact that I think it would be easier to put in here. However, they are very much more expensive than the magnetically ballasted counterparts. But we're going to try it out on an electronic ballast before I get one. How are we going to do that? Well, we have our bulb here that I'd like to use with the fixture, and I actually have a fixture to try it in. The New York City Cooper lighting street light here has an electronic ballast in it for S56 150 watt high pressure sodium lamps, and it also states it does M102 pulse start 150 watt metal halide bulbs. So if we go ahead and open this thing up, we should find inside our special S56 bulb high pressure sodium and our special electronic ballast as well. And with some more lights on, we can see that this ballast states that it is for metal halide bulbs only. But obviously it's been put inside of this fixture that is spec'd for high pressure sodium. And if you take a look at our S56 version of 150 watt metal halide or high pressure sodium bulb here, I'm getting them all mixed up, we will find that the arc tube seems to be about the same length. So let's compare the two here. Yeah, pretty much the same length and style of arc tube going on here. So I can see why this should work out very well. So let's get this bulb installed in an American street light and let's turn it on for the first time. Before I go online and purchase an expensive electronic ballast, I really do want to make sure that this even works. So here we go, first time with a European high pressure sodium bulb. Let's do it. Oh, there we go. I was going to say there's absolutely nothing happening, but let's give it a second. There is definitely a frequency I am hearing. Look at that. It's like high pressure sodium from the center working outwards. Maybe that's where the sodium was, and now it's expanded to the whole arc stream there. Very interesting. Yes, there's a very interesting noise here. The ballast is making a very interesting noise. So I'm gonna let this warm up and we'll see if that noise changes at all. And I mean, if we really need to, and I think I will, because why not, we can try it on an actual magnetic ballast. Now, this is one option. Could do the same thing here, but that doesn't really have the space to, you know, adapt a mogul base bulb. But we do have some options to try a magnetic ballast versus electronic. This thing's getting very bright. While it appears to have warmed up very quickly, I still don't think this ballast is very happy. It's still making that high-pitched noise. So I'm going to put in our S56 bulb again, and let's see if it makes any noise at all with that. Okay, now for the S56 bulb. I guess it makes a high-pitched noise. Unless it's just ruined now, and that's what it does. I don't remember. Interesting. Oh, it changed a little bit. It's not so high-pitchy. Oh, I guess we'll let this one warm up and see if it makes, maybe the noise will go away. So there's definitely still a high-pitched noise with this bulb. I should have done it first just to rule out if the other one did something to this ballast. But there's definitely still a high-pitched noise, and I'm sure if you were to close this up, yeah, it's like hardly ever even noticeable. I don't really hear it anymore at all. But with that being said, let's try out our magnetic ballast counterpart here. So this is kind of funny. We have a medium base extender and then a medium to mogul base adapter. Not perfect, not the way I'd want to do it, but for testing purposes, we'll give it a go. Let's see what we get. Here we go. Okay, well that's instant on. Maybe because it was already warmed up from being on a minute ago. Obviously noticeably quieter. Most certainly. Yeah, way quieter. All I can hear is the heat fan rattling there. Its canopy is rattling. Oh, that's so much quieter. Oh, maybe we'll just go magnetic. I mean, it'll be cheaper anyway. Well, I suppose once we get it all together, you'll find out what I decided to go with. Let's let this warm up. I think the old magnetic ballast is going to be our answer. It's so much quieter. I indeed do like the hum. I think it's going to be our option, because it's running really good on this. I'm sure if it wasn't, it would be making some type of noise. But I'd rather have the hum of a ballast rather than the hiss of an electronic one. So, with that being said, I will acquire an appropriate ballast to put in our fixture, and we'll go from there. Now, something I noticed when turning this off on the electronic ballast is pretty cool. Let's see here. You can see the starting kind of wire on the arc tube here glows because, well, it's got heat, it's hot. And once it gets cooled down enough here, you can see the little line of that like starting aid material on the arc tube there glowing. Pretty cool. We got the clear coat put on the outer casings here, and that worked really well, actually. Can't even tell it's really on there. It gives it a little bit of a shine, but that will keep it nice and clean. Didn't realize until painting it, well, before doing so, that this gasket can come off. So I cleaned that separately, and it was all just underneath the fan here drying. It's dried for about in an hour now. I was gonna say 2 things, but it has it wait for 30 minutes to actually completely dry to use. Usually paint is a lot longer than that, but this recommends only 30 minutes for current temperature conditions. So I've let it sit here for an hour now, and I think we're good in that regard. So let's turn our attention to putting the rest of the fixture together. I have gone online and acquired a 150 watt metal halide ballast to put into this, a nice Phillips Advance ballast. So we're sticking with Phillips for the fixture, might as well. And well, that's obviously going to take a little bit to get here. So we're going to put it together the best we can for right now. The glass is inside to keep it safe, but there it is, put together. Even got the bulb in there to show you what that looks like. Very nice. Now, this is going to be one of the first things to go on our wall here that's all new. So I'm going to put up this little pipe here, and we're going to give it a home so that we can put it on display for the time being until we get a ballast. Then we'll finally be able to enjoy it all lit up. Anyway, I just realized that this is a little too short. So I'm going to have to get a longer one. Otherwise, you can't open the ballast compartment. Either way, I'm happy with how far we have come in this process. It is looking really good. And a little look inside reveals that it is nice and cleaned up as well. I really do hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one. Leave a like down below and a comment. I do enjoy reading all of your comments. Of course, check out the other videos here on the screen. And until next time, thank you very much for watching.